For the record, Bill already indicated, my name is Tom Botkins. Before I start with an update on the trail project, which is really why I'm here, I want to clear up potentially a couple of misconceptions. The discharge of concern from the project construction activities is an illegal, unpermitted discharge. Okay? I've talked about that some before. And based on past comments, the misconception that I'm concerned about is that DEQ has permitted the activities, the project activities. And therefore, some people assume that everything is permitted. That's not correct. DEQ cannot and will not permit discharges of items like what we're talking about at Cedar Creek. It can't be done. Mr. Johnson's comment there a little while ago, I brought up this before, not disagreeing with anything you said. The problem with getting a DEQ permit, like a revision here, they review that permit for compliance with regulatory requirements, not based on design or the potential success or whatever. It's like they agree you want to build a car and they have no problems with the way it's done. You're meeting all the safety standards and blah, blah, blah. They don't know whether it'll start or not, but they will permit that activity. Alleghany County has a permit to discharge stormwater that has been properly treated by the Virginia Stormwater Management Regulations. Technically, you can't even show compliance with that. Refer to your early 23, the warning letter from DEQ, as well as infractions that were listed on every inspection report that they conducted to date. I've got some pictures here. Start off with the first one, and it goes back to the presentation that Mr. Johnson referred to. This is what the site looked like after the January event, where it was reported that we'd had a settlement issue and no discharges to the creek. If you remember right, I estimated that over 100 tons of earth and material have been discharged to the creek. I stand by that statement, and to be perfectly honest about it, I think that's a very conservative number. If it were strictly a settlement issue, stop and think about it. The contractor did not do a very good job of installing that fill. And we know for a fact that they did not compact it appropriately. If you go looking at the picture, it shows that that settlement was unique. If you look at the fence, it looks like it's actually being engulfed by the settlement. The ongoing settlement issue continues, and that leads up to where we are now. We had another event on August the 9th, and I'd like to walk you through some pictures of that event, or the results of that event. The next picture is a picture of Cedar Creek, upstream of the area of concern. Yes, it was up a little bit, and you can see there's some turbidity associated with it. The next few pictures are going to show you the site of concern, and the following picture you can see all the clay, the solids coming out from under the railroad bed, now the trail bed, entering the creek. And as you go upstream, you can see what the creek looked like before it received all this material. The other pictures are just follow-ups. The third one is a picture from the trail itself, and you can see all the material rolling into the creek. And also in the foreground, you can see the settlement continuing as the trail moves towards the creek. Others are just close-ups, and in some of those you will see sediment that is accumulated on the sandbags and wherever it could. And there's one that just gives you a feel for the magnitude. And I mean, the pictures don't do justice as compared to what you see if you're there during an event like that. Go to the last picture. That's a picture of Jackson River downstream of the Cedar Creek discharge into the Jackson. The Cedar Creek discharge was not anything like we received in the area. Surprising to me. Lake Moomore reported 3.15 inches. I showed 3.5. You saw the first picture, there wasn't much flow increase in Cedar Creek. And as a matter of fact, the inflow to Gathright only increased like 140. So that drainage area, we got it. These areas didn't. But when you look at that picture of the Jackson River, all of that is from that discharge in Cedar Creek.
Where on the Jackson is that, just out of curiosity? Where is that at?
That was from the back of Loving's house.
Okay.
My house.
Oh, okay.
One thing I want to emphasize, and I brought this up before, this area where this project is has yet to see a significant flood event. And when I go to talk about a flood event, I'm not talking about a 100-year or a 500-year event. I'm talking about enough water in Cedar Creek to top the low water bridge downstream of this site. And that normally happens once or twice a year. This site hadn't seen it in the last couple of years. And I'll go back to what I said a second ago. If Cedar Creek had seen the rainfall that Gathright Dam did, this whole wall, the whole mass, would be in the Jackson River now. And I think I can support that statement. The contractor really, between the original event in January until this event, had made no changes. DEQ had specifically said, hey, no changes until we see a plan. Between these two events, though, that was basically 8 months. The settlement continued, and the illegal discharges continued. I mean, I have documented, I've shown you guys pictures. It may be only turbid discharges from the springs, but it's unusual discharges. The springs are normally clear. But in that one case I know I presented information on, you could see the movement occurring where the fill was being fed into the spring and discharged into the creek. Now we've got a more serious event. It's the same thing. We put fill over water flowing. And the amount of fill that spring or springs is going to carry into the creek is a function of the spring flow and the elevation of the creek. And to be honest about it, the last change, revision 3, DEQ approved that too. But my comment after I saw the revision was, you probably made it worse. And I think the August event verifies that. I know that a different consultant came up with revision 4. I'd like to make a couple of comments on it. First of all, the revised plan is just a variation of revision 3, which obviously didn't work. This revision is more robust. It does involve the use of different materials and so on. So as far as I'm concerned, it is an improvement. But at the same time, I think we're still missing one of the most significant things that is occurring at this site. And I also have noted that there are other opportunities for additional benefits that could be implemented. But anyway, that's really all I've got to say there.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I knew you had a lot of information in here. I do have you over like 12 minutes. Just
Yeah, okay. Well, that is basically it. One last comment, and I did have some other information in here that you can look at. But the last comment here is that if we fix this problem area, the problems don't go away. This is one of many sites that we repaired flood damage with what we call mechanically enhanced earth and fill. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Appreciate it.